Welcome to PropTech Pulse, the podcast that takes the pulse of prop technology in multifamily. I'm your host, Shelley Robinson, and each week we'll be diving deep into innovations, challenges, and the future of work in property technology and multifamily. From AI-driven property management to blockchain and real estate, we're here to explore how technology is reshaping the way we live, work, and invest in multifamily communities. Whether you're a property manager, a tech entrepreneur, an executive, or even simply curious about the future of living spaces, PropTech Pulse is your weekly dose of insights and inspiration. So let's sync our rhythms and get on with the show. It's time to take the pulse. Welcome to PropTech Pulse. Today, I have Christi Weinstein with me. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Yes, thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
Me too. And I'm really excited to talk to you about RETCON. I understand this is your first trip to the conference, so I think we're going to have a great conversation today. To kick this off, can you kind of tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself and kind of your journey to what's brought you to this point in your career today?
Sure, absolutely. So Christi Weinstein, Chief Operating Officer for BH, and have been with BH, gosh, it's 11 and a half years. It's been quite the journey. I've grown up in multifamily, and so very familiar with many different roles throughout the industry, specifically on the operator side. So I would say that, our focus at BH has really been around the improvement of the customer experience. How can we continue to take our operating model to the next level? So a real hyper focus in on centralization and the technology that supports that. So that's, a little bit about us.
Love that. And your whole strategy. Good. It really does speak to everything. And for RETCON, it's technology focused. So what are some of the things you're looking forward to in your first visit to the conference?
Gosh, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to networking with other operators, getting some best practices, learning what's worked, what hasn't worked, specifically what hasn't worked, and maybe some ways that we can avoid those pitfalls. And so that kind of shared learning is always a great takeaway. And then understanding how the technology space is continuing to evolve at such a rapid especially with the introduction of AI into so many facets. And so understanding how we can strategically and cautiously enter into leveraging that technology to support not only the centralization, but ultimately the goal of improvement of that customer experience. I'm hopeful I'm going to take away some real insights from the conference this year on that.
Those are great topics. Yeah, how to make it make the pilots more effective, partner better, under even expectations and what the results should be and case studies should be from those initiatives. So you're right on point. I think the conversations are going to be in the hallways and are there any trends or shifts that you're seeing right now in real estate in your areas of like digital transformation? You mentioned centralization and AI. What's one trend or shift that you're seeing?
Well, I would say that maybe a couple of years ago, the word centralization felt very much like a buzzword. But that's not a buzzword for BH. That is who we are as an operator is, how do we reduce the amount of administrative load that we've put into our on-site teams that take away from that sales and service focus. And so I would say that the trend for us is that I think the word centralization, the word AI feels very buzzy, but how do you actually take some of the technology that's coming to market? And you just said, right, how do you integrate it into your ecosystem without having to do a lot of extra development? But then ultimately is just not a shiny new something. It's actually making the experience not only for our residents, but also for our team members better, right? So it's kind of a twofold focus. And I would say that those are the trends is there's a lot that's coming to market. What is going to be sustainable and what's really going to move the needle for us to get us to that next level, ultimately supporting that experience overall.
I love that. Sentiment. Industry, there's some companies that are embracing a lot of it. And there's others who are like, I want to see what's going to
stand the test of time because AI is moving so fast. Did you echo either of those kind of sentiments?
So I think there's the AI in the customer experience, and then there's the internal organization use of AI. I would say for BH, it's really about how do we don't want to go fast, but we don't want to go slow. So you've got to find kind of that appropriate medium, but also how do we do this responsibly? And I think that's the ultimate question of, we could go fast if we wanted to, but is that the responsible way to approach this? Just recognizing the power behind the AI. And so just, yeah, I think that's where I would say responsible, and also we want to be innovative. So that's a hard combination sometimes.
AI strategy, like data strategy, and an AI strategy. I think it's too late if you get left behind, both of those in your arsenal.
Agree. 100% agree with that.
On the customer experience side, the renter experience side, what technology do you think is the most important for you?
I think that is such a great question. I feel like we're still on the journey of improving that customer experience, and trying to find the good mix of technology that supports those next steps. For BH, it has been a lot of focus around the CRM. What is that tool that we're using that helps support that resident experience, from whether it's the rent payment, it's the work order submission, really thinking about, what is it that the resident wants? And I read something the other day and I thought it was such a great perspective, is that, the best customer experience technology doesn't feel like tech. It feels like things just work. And I think that is just like, yes, if we can, from a renter perspective, if things just work, then that feels like a win-win. And so, what are those technologies where it's not about more communication, it's about clear communication? It's creating self-service tools that actually work. It's giving insight into the maintenance request workflow that gives visibility and transparency on, where the work that needs to be done for the customer is. So those are the technologies where I think we've got a good starting place and a great path forward in 26. That's what I'm going to be looking for at RETCON, is who can help bridge some of the gaps that exist today for us around, it just needs to work. It just needs to work.
Make it better, deliver that high service. And then on the staff side, technology's gotten really complicated. What is your sense of improving the experience for you, and what are you looking for there as well?
It's got to be easy, right? The more, again, this goes back to the philosophy of taking off the administrative burden. If my on-site teams have to log into 25 different solutions or systems in the day, I am not optimizing their workflow. I'm not optimizing where the best parts of their day should be spent, right? And so it goes back into, how do these things integrate? How can information transfer across technologies? So I'm working in one solution that supports many outcomes, right? So to me, that's where, from a customer, an employee experience, that we really got to focus in on, where should their day be spent? What solutions should they be working in to have the best outcomes?
I love that. I love that. I'm thinking about this a lot. Recruiting the next generation of talent is going to require a simpler, more intuitive way to have technology assist in their day to day, because they expect it. They're getting it from Amazon, they're getting it from their social media, they're getting it from when they order their pizza. So I think it's a required evolution as well to attract and retain good people along the way.
Completely agree, right? Who the leasing agent was when I started in this industry is not who the leasing agent is today in our industry. So yeah, the technology evolution, and I do feel like there was a real length of time that multifamily had a struggle in adopting some of that technology and embracing some of the change there. And we've come so far. But to your point, right, as an employee, which is also an average consumer, the experience is, right? I mean, how I, go through the Chick-fil-A drive-through is also we're measured against that. The Amazon Easy, we're measured against that, not just from a resident, but also from our employees. Like how my day shouldn't be, it can be easier through technology or it could be harder through technology. And so are we making good choices there?
I love that. And did you start in leasing? Is that how you started?
I did. Yes, I sure did.
Totally. And did you start on purpose or on accident?
An accident, of course. You fall into this industry and then it's, you never leave.
You never do. And I also think like from a technology standpoint and the next generation, and you're starting to see degrees in property management and real estate and kind of more of a purposeful path. It would be great if, my daughter's generation would be like, I got into this industry on purpose eventually.
On
Because
purpose.
it's a stellar industry. It just needs to be refined so that it's simpler and stickier, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. We used to say at VH, like, what we do is not rocket science. And then we saw they were like, it's actually really complicated and almost like rocket science.
It is. And you're really the CEO of a business as a property manager, and it's a multi-million-dollar, and you're responsible for everything. So
Yeah,
it
big responsibility.
it was good business school for me, at least, for sure. What excites you the most about the industry's next chapter? What do you see kind of coming, and what makes you get excited?
That's a great question. I would say, that what we're doing in technology, because it is so much more readily available to us, I think that is what we're doing with this like take two. Let's try that again. You want me to start or are you going to ask me again? So sorry.
Totally fine. Go ahead. Yeah, and what excites you most about the industry's next chapter?
Okay, I think the thing that excites me most about the industry's next chapter really is around what's advancing so fast in the world of technology. It's taken us a minute to, kind of grab on to what's the evolution of multifamily or real estate. And we're there, and there's tools and solutions that are made readily available to us. And so I think those, supporting kind of that next operating model, specifically for BH in the world of centralization and finding the tools that enhance that is, I'm here all day for that.
It's it's the industry's even the possibility of I think is spectacular because you can grow and scale and be a service. Really good information.
Well,
Anything
and I was just going to say to that point, it's also, how are you able to innovate faster than maybe what you were able to do before, right? If we have 330 communities throughout the United States, change management on any type of technology or even workflow process change, that's 330 times. And then you're trying to ensure that everybody's got it, right? But everybody kind of puts their own spin or flavor on that change. And so it really does help with standardization. It helps with the efficiencies, but it also helps with us being able to rapidly deploy some new innovative ways of doing business because instead of 330, I'm teaching, 25 individuals that are supporting a part of the centralization journey. And we can make changes quickly there if needed.
I love that. Is there anything in the property technology that you're having a problem with right now that you wish you could solve for? Question I'm like, because I'm like, I wonder what's on anyone's mind where they're like, I wish we could solve.
I think an age-old problem that has always been when I was a leasing agent on site is how do you support the world of maintenance? And so it seems to be that one area, whether it's, potting maintenance and having techs that expand across regions. But I think ultimately it does your maintenance starts with the technology that we have available for the associates. And so sometimes I think we're trying to put cart before horse there, but it is an age-old problem, right? Is staffing for that maintenance position and knowing that that is the most impactful component of a resident's experience is whether or not we're solving we're tending to them quickly and solving their problems speedily, right? And so that is the one, right, for 2026 that DH has really got our eyes on. We think we've picked a great technology in order to support how that is going to evolve, and I'm hopeful, right, that we can actually make some real measurable impact into how we can help support our maintenance team members, which have the most impact on customer success.
They sure do. Seeing those facing reviews is maintenance, maintenance, maintenance. My last question today, before we wrap up, why do you think gatherings like RETCON matter in the industry? What does that mean to you? And anyone maybe who's considering to still go and hasn't signed up yet?
I think it's the exposure to what's out there that that you may not be aware of, right? So whether that's the different vendor partners, the different technology solutions, and ultimately for me, it comes back to the networking. It's networking with those folks to understand I've got these subset of concerns or issues I'm trying to solve. Sometimes I think we can get stuck in there's only one path forward, and exposure to conferences like this opens our minds and our lens to other possibilities and capabilities. And then, hearing from other operators of, what has worked or not worked for them. It's such a great place to get so much information in a relatively short amount of time to move kind of what your strategic initiatives are forward for the remainder of the year. So these are necessary conferences, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I really look forward to seeing you. It's my second RETCON, so I look forward to seeing you at your first. And thank you so much for your time and the conversation today.
Yes, always. Thank you.
Thanks, Christi.
And that wraps up another episode of PropTech Pulse. I hope this conversation has given you valuable insights and perhaps even sparked some ideas for your own PropTech journey. Remember, the future of multifamily is being written right now with every technological advance and innovative solution. So stay curious, stay connected, and keep your finger on the pulse of PropTech. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to PropTech Pulse on your favorite podcast platform and share this along with your colleagues. You can also find us on social media for bite-sized insights and updates. I'm Shelley Robinson, and until next time, let's keep innovating, disrupting, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in PropTech and multifamily. Let's build it together.